First off, good afternoon to everyone. Thank you to our Rotarians and the Kiwanis Club for allowing us to intrude upon your meeting. We enjoy this. Myself, Jimmy Troglin, the folks that cover this event or part of this event look forward to this every year. We've got some veteran coaches, we've got some rookie coaches, so hopefully they'll all come out with a good feeling this afternoon. I also want to thank our friends at Austin Peay State University for being with us today. We are videotaping and recording today's program. Austin Peay will edit it together and air tomorrow night, 7 o'clock for the first showing. On CDE Channel 9, Spectrum Channel 192, and UVerse Channel 99. So make sure if you doze off or have a food coma during any of this, you can watch it tomorrow night on television. So we ready to talk a little football? It's time for me. It was foggy and cool this morning. My Cubs are completely out of baseball contention, so it's football season. That's exactly what time it is. It's football time in Tennessee, and there's no better way to start it than with high school football, and we do that each and every year thanks to this. This is my 10th year being involved with this program. I believe it's the 14th overall. So again, thank you all for letting us intrude upon your luncheon. Let's start with the oldest school in the city. A team in Clarksville High School that went 7-5 a season ago made it to the second round of the playoffs after pulling an upset at Cane Ridge in the opening round before falling to Beach. Coach Isaac Shelby and the Wildcats have a veteran group coming back, and we introduce to you the head coach at Clarksville High School, Coach Isaac Shelby.
Appreciate that, Brian. We're really excited about our team this year. I've been doing this, I guess, all 14 years now. So I'm never really sure what you guys wanted to hear. So they sent a list of questions this time, which is actually easier to do. But our team, we had a lot of injuries last year. We had a lot of injuries at some really key positions, like quarterback is the one that I get the most questions about. And we had to play a bunch of guys out of position, and we had to play a whole bunch of freshmen and a whole bunch of sophomores because of COVID. And it was kind of it was one of those years that was really difficult on coaches and administrations and teachers. And, I remember against Springfield, I think we lost our entire defensive line pretty much in like 48 hours before the Springfield game. It was so bad we were teaching our kickers and punters how to cut just in case we ran out of the 2 or 3 people we had available. So I'm optimistic that that this year we will get to kind of like. We will have some of those experience. We will have some guys with experience that probably should not have had experience, but they did because of injuries and COVID. And when you bring back the guys that were injured for us, I think it could be a recipe for a good team as long as we practice well every day and do what we're supposed to do.
Thank you, Coach. Jimmy Troglin, and I'm a member of the Clarksville Sunrise Rotary Club, and I've always been teased that I joined the wrong Rotary Club, but here I am. And this is my 34th year of covering high school sports. I'm now writing for Main Street Preps when I'm not selling cars during the day. So I'm pretty excited about year number 34. Coach, 5 straight playoff appearances. What has been the key for that consistency?
I think consistency in staff and consistency in administration. Most of the guys that we have coaching now either played for me at some point or have coached with me for a real long time, and we just haven't had a ton of turnover. And with that consistency, I think that consistency breeds success over time as long as you have the right guys in the right places.
I would say we have 2 elite quarterbacks here in Clarksville that we've watched over the last 4 years. One's at Northeast, one's at Clarksville High. Coach, tell us a little bit about how your quarterback has kind of bounced back from his injury from last season and how he has looked so far.
He's looked great so far. It's really exciting for Friday to come around because he's a unique individual in that last year he's a really good baseball player too, and he tore his labrum playing baseball in like April or May, and we kind of found out in June that it was like a serious thing that he was going to have surgery on and miss the entire year. So in our program, the coaches don't vote for captains because I only know what our kids are doing for like the 2 hours a day that I actually have them. So we let we let everybody on the team vote for captains, and we had one unanimous selection last year. Never had this before. They selected our quarterback as captain, and everybody knew, even when we did the selections, everyone knew there was 0 chance he would play one play the entire year. and he was still selected captain of his team just because of the way he carries himself. And that's just, to me, that's amazing when, you're in shoulder pads and you're in a helmet every single day and your buddy's not, and it's 100 degrees outside, and you unanimously select him as your captain. It was a very unique situation. He's a unique kid, and I can't wait to see him play Friday, just after what he's been through the last year.
One last question, Coach. Clarksville High over the last few years, really good special teams. And I remember Isaac Zelkowski kicking a few years ago. Your kicker last year hit a mammoth 50-yard field goal to win a game. Tell us a little bit about what your special teams look like this year.
Our special teams, they're our elite guys. We put our best guys that we can on special teams. If we're going to sub, we're not subbing on punt team. We're subbing on offense and defense. And that's just kind of the philosophy we have on it. In those guys really take pride in being selected on one of those teams. It's a big deal. To me, if I pick you to start on punt team, that's more important to pick you to start on offense, because it's just the way we do it.
Clarksville home this coming Friday against McGavick. Clarksville High football coach Isaac Shelby.
Our next head coach will head to the Swamp for a second-year headband. It saw his Cougars go 6-4 a season ago. Lost 2 of their last 3 by a grand total of 6 points, not to bring up the scabs off the wound. 1 by 4, 1 by 2, and just missed themselves getting into the playoffs. This year, head coach Scott Murray knows that the Cougars have what they need to make a playoff run. Let's hear about it from the head Cougar himself, Coach Scott Murray.
I was going to thank you until you said that. And I did just turn 50 this year, so thank you with all the positive I have to look forward to with that, Mr. Wallace. I do want to take a second just to thank God, as usual, for the blessing it is to be a football coach and to be at Clarksville Academy. I always want to thank my headmaster, Ms. Highnote, who's here with me today, Ms. Walker, our upper school principal, Matt Hoppy, my new athletic director, who's been wonderful, even though he's a basketball coach, but he's working out okay. My wife, Pam, my son, X, who are always there for me, and then today I have a couple other people here in support. Justin Swallows, the voice of Cougar Nation, and also our Booster Club president, Mr. Wilson, I noticed is here in support. So I thank those people. Next, I want to thank all these coaches for what you do. It's a blessing to be in the room with you guys. Nobody other than the people sitting at these tables know all the hats you wear and all the things that you do and the hours that you put into what you do. So whatever school you're supporting, whoever you're here for, just know that that coach is doing more than you could ever imagine. And now I'll get to the football part, even though I didn't get any questions. I don't know how I get on that list, but I didn't. So I'll just freestyle it here a little bit, I guess. Last year when I got here, I was new. I came in June, I think is when I accepted the position, so I really didn't know a lot of my players, and the first thing I did was went into the halls and to other practices and tried to get some kids out, and fortunately for me, we were able to get some baseball players and some basketball players. Apparently that's where the athletes were. Coaches, if I can give you any advice, go find the athletes. They make you look good. But also at Clarksville Academy, what I found out, I knew it was going to be a great place to be. I was excited about being there, but I do want to talk about my school just a little bit, not just our athletics and academics. We have a great mesh, and our principals and administration, everyone at the school is very supportive and want academics and athletics to both be successful at the same level, and they push to make that happen. So very fortunate. There are a lot of school systems and a lot of places that do that. Last year, we made some great strides in both areas. We had 9 seniors. 6 of those seniors went on to play athletically. They're in camps this week. 5 playing football. 1 is going to play baseball, but he also had football opportunities. We had a 7th kid out of those 9 players that were seniors that was offered scholarship opportunity and turned that down. So 7 out of 9 players at Clarksville Academy who were seniors last year had an opportunity to go on and play college athletics, and we take a lot of pride in that. It's something that we try to do. We try to sell our kids to the world because we believe that they're special. I believe that 6 of those 9 had a 3.4 GPA or better. So we're not, I know a lot of times people say, well, hey, they're giving money, they're doing this and that. We don't just have football players or baseball players. I don't know what the rules are at other schools, but if you get an F in one of our classes, my football players don't go to practice. They go to study hall until that grade is up. So we have a very, very high academic standard to go along with our athletics. We had senior scholarship day at Clarksville Academy, and it spun my head off. I'd never seen anything like it in my life. There were kids getting 10, 12 scholarship opportunities for one student. So it's a very special place, both academically and athletically. So it means a lot to me, and I'm sorry I rambled on about that, but I did want to hit those points. Football-wise, we're very excited. They were coming off a no-win season, maybe 2 of those. They had 24 players the year before. We are now up to 42 players on our roster, and that's pretty good for a school our size. Last year, like we said, we were able to win 6 games, and like the scab was pulled off, we missed the playoffs barely. But we do have quite a few kids coming back in some vital positions. We have some really good skill kids, and we have some veteran linemen. So we're hoping we're able to make that corner this year and turn it into a playoff run.
Coach, last year you guys averaged 39.5 points a game, one of the top scoring private schools in the mid-state. What's the key to this offense this season?
For me not to mess it up because I'm calling the plays this year. No, we just have to figure out ways. We've got several really, really good athletes, and we've got to figure out ways to spread the ball around, try to make everybody a little bit happy, try to get everybody involved. The worst thing I can do is turn one player into the point that everyone's looking to stop and then not spread the ball around and get it to the other players. As long as I'm able to spread the field out, get the ball to the athletes, it makes us a little bit harder to defend.
Coach, going into his first season, there's always the transition for you, your staff, but also the kids. Now that you're in year 2, have you seen a pretty significant difference as far as just the rapport you have with the players?
Well, yeah, it's like I said, last year it took me halfway through the year before I really knew my kids and knew what pushed their buttons, who could handle certain types of coaching, who couldn't. Now I have a better understanding of that with my older kids, and they also have a better understanding of me. They know that I care about them. They know that I love them and that I'm coaching them hard and having high expectations because I love them. And it takes a while to get that relationship with kids. It takes a while to get that with adults, but people have to see that you have their best interests. You can't just tell them you love them every day. You have to show them that you love them every day. And we try to do that at Clarksville Academy. And by building that relationship, I feel like it's just continued to grow, and we have a actual family environment.
Coach, you've been around for a while.
Thanks.
You're welcome. What would be the big difference when you kind of look back on your career as far as what you've learned that you now implement without even thinking about it?
Well, I've learned over the years that every child is different. It's something they try to beat in your head when you're a teacher, but sometimes coaches don't always get that in their head as quickly as possible, and that everyone's buttons are different. Some people handle certain types of coaching better than other kids, and every kid is truly unique, and every kid has to be handled differently. Now, they're all held to the same expectation, but they are all different, and you have to treat them that way.
Clarksville Academy opens this Friday at FACS. Clarksville Academy coach, Scott Murray.
Coach Murray mentioned it, and I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention, could our administrators, our athletic directors, assistant principals that are with us today, please stand up and be recognized. I apologize for not doing this early, but we talked about the hard work these coaches put in. Our athletic directors and administrators do that as well, and we thank you for being with us today. See, I got your president recognized. I'll make sure you take care of that. Our next head coach inherits a playoff team. The Kenwood Knights a season ago went 5-6 overall. That 6th loss happened on the road at Memphis Central in the opening round of the 5A playoffs. Lost by 1 score, 35-29, to a very talented Memphis team. Athleticism abounds in the black and gold this year, and head coach Jarrett Sneed will be the man in charge to get them back to the playoffs and back to the promised land. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenwood Knight head coach Jarrett Sneed.
Well, I must say, it reminded me of the playoff loss last year. That still opened up a kind of a big wound. 4th and 2 on the 9-yard line, incomplete pass to end the game. But one thing I try to talk to my guys about is, what happened, happened. You can't live in the past and look forward to the future if you're still worrying about what happened beforehand. So a lot of things what we talk about is just moving forward, next play, next play, next play. One thing that I really preach to them is discipline and accountability. I look at with football, it's not just football, it's also kind of a way of life. A lot of things you learn in football helps you with life. I think about looking at one of my former coaches, some things that he taught me as I was coming through high school that stayed with me. That's what I'm trying to get with my guys, get them to understand discipline and accountability is not just about football, but that helps get you through life as well. This being my first year at Kenwood, I'm a little bit excited, a little bit nervous, but at the same time, I'm just thankful. I'm just blessed to be able to coach the sport that I so dearly love and be able to push that love and that passion that I have off on the guys that I coach as well.
Coach, tell us a little bit about your background, what you've coached, and where were you previously?
Well, I guess for one, I'm a Clarksville native. I've been here since, 2000 now, I guess you can say, off and on. Graduated from Rossview High, went to Tennessee Tech, went to Austin Peay. Been teaching here since, 2013. Started coaching at Kenwood 6 years ago when Gillard first got there. Once Greer got there, he kept me on his staff as well. Started off as a running backs coach, then went from running backs to linebackers, then went from running backs, linebackers, and special teams to assistant offensive coordinator. So a little bit of everything.
Coach, when you are a first-year coach, how difficult is it not to give your players too much to learn, especially early?
Well, I guess the good thing with me, since I've already been at Kenwood, I know my guys. They know me very well. They know my expectations. They know what I want from them because I've had some of these guys since they were freshmen. Even some of them I've known since they were in middle school before they even got to the high school. So for the most part, it's been a fairly smooth transition because they know my expectations. I know how they learn. I know how they are. And as Coach had said earlier, when you know your guys, it makes it a little bit easier to coach them because you know their learning style.
You open up this coming Friday at Hillwood. Talk about what this week is as a head coach versus what it was last year when you were an assistant.
A lot more responsibility. Last year, just being running backs coach, special teams coach, those are the two main things I focused on. Whereas now being the head coach is everything that comes full circle. Where I don't really like to micromanage, but as a head coach, sometimes you have to. You have to make sure this is together, this is together, this is together, this is together, and look at all the pieces instead of just some of the pieces.
Kenwood does open at Hillwood this coming Friday. First-year head coach, Jarrett Sneed.
Thank you.
So I take it I'm no longer mentioning playoff losses. I get it. Sorry. Hey, getting to the playoffs, it says something right there. So this next team made it to the playoffs. We'll leave it right there. Lost to the eventual state champs, I'll say that. The Montgomery Central Indians had a longtime head coach in Jeff Tomlinson, and after he decided to head back to his home roots in Dixon County, all that the folks on the reservation had to do was just look down the line at the coaching staff, and they found a very qualified individual to take over. Coach Corey Wright takes over a team that went 9-3 a season ago, but he faces two tough tests early on the road at Sycamore and at Northeast to start the Indian season. Ladies and gentlemen, the new chief on the reservation, Corey Wright.
Thanks for having me. And one correction, we are at home versus Sycamore. I know the paper was wrong about that, but just want to put that out there. So my name is Corey Wright. I've been coaching at Central for my 4th year. 3 years prior, I was just the runnings back coach. And I think it was like in the middle of January, I got a text that Coach Thomason was leaving Central, and it was like everything was on fire, including me. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know about the move, but, you know, I want to say thank you to our admin and our new assistant principal and athletic director, Jason Green, for the support. And Montgomery Central, right? The school on the other side of the river, right? I love Central. I love everything about Central. I love the community. I love Hilltop, right? I love everything about Central. Central is the only school that I've known since coaching high school football. Some of the challenges that we face, we lost 20 seniors. And so, you know, losing 20 seniors and then a new head coach, you know, raises some huge questions. But stepping up and taking the challenge, and I think we have like eight seniors. Out of 8 seniors, 4 of those seniors actually played last year. So we have a very young team, but they're eager, and our you know, speech for the year for the coaches is to coach them up, right? And so young guys or not, we're going to coach them and make sure one, that they're ready to play football on Friday, and 2, that you know, we will not use youth as a reason to not give our best. So,
Coach, we were talking after your scrimmage with Fort Campbell Friday night that those freshmen, those sophomores that are going to be playing a lot, that you guys have something in common.
yeah. Yeah, just the youthfulness of it, right? Very green. And one thing about this is I've been very humbled. I'm very humbled to have this the head coach title. And I think you posted, you quoted, in, you know, January, I had no reason to believe that, you know, that this door would even open up. So when it did, you know, I was very thankful, and I said yes to it. And then right after saying yes, I felt the weight of the world on my shoulder. So
This is a different scenario for Montgomery Central from when Jeff took over, because he was rebuilding. You guys have had some playoff runs the last 4 or 5 years. Different program versus what Jeff inherited?
yes, sir. And culture, right? I think culture changes every year, right? From the senior class that leaves to, you know, from the juniors rising up. So one thing about Central is our tradition hasn't changed, right? We are who we are. And so we take pride in that. But as far as scheme had to change. You know, we lost T. Plus our defensive coordinator. I think all in all, 3 or 4 coaches went to Dixon County, so we had to make some changes.
One final question. Jeff had those teams that would run a 15-play drive, 80 yards, eat up 9 minutes of the clock. Yeah. New offense this season?
Somewhat. So it's not so much new. It's the same plays. It's just in a different formation. We have 2 of the best backs in the county, I believe, and so I wanted to give them a new look and more opportunity. So we just geared the offense and our team around our guys. So
Montgomery Central opens its season Friday against Sycamore. First-year head coach Corey Wright.
thank you.
Our next head coach is another first-year head coach, or first year at this school at Northeast High School, but his coaching resume is long and lengthy. If you ask coaches at this table, they'll probably tell you the most athletes that'll line up and suit up on a Friday night will probably be wearing the blue and gold of Northeast High School. And our next speaker will have the charge of getting them back to the playoffs, starting this week with an in-city rivalry on the road at West Creek. Ladies and gentlemen, the Northeast Eagle head coach, Claude Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, I'm Claude Townsend. Just to tell you a little bit about myself. Born and raised out of Florida. However, I had a break in service after my 4th year. I stayed home in Daytona Beach, Florida, and I went to St. Petersburg, started coaching football. Youth football, stay on the sideline, actually. I was brought to that by my wife. My son was signed up. I'm on the sideline yelling, do this. Hey, coach, why don't you come and coach? So long story short, I started coaching then. I done semi-pro with Ernest Givens, ex-NFL player. He gave me a shot at being running back and also wide receiver coach down in Florida. Done some youth. I did high school there at St. Petersburg High School, running back coach also. Came back in the military, went around the world, came back. I landed here in Clarksville, Tennessee, went to Fort Campbell. As I got here in 2009, I started coaching semi-pro football also. Being the head coach and offense coordinator with that, started with the Clarksville Wolfpack. I did with them also, and then it came to be Tri-City Outlaws. 2016, I got my own team, which is Clarksville Rattlers. Also just going around from school to school to school. My son did go to West Creek. Another thing that got me interested in coaching football. But 3 or 4 years there, and just kept going. After he got out of high school, went 1 year with Northwest as a running back coach with Vernon Wright. Just been shopping around. I wanted to coach somewhere, went to all different schools, and I was blessed. I think a lot of good things happened. I lost my wife last year, brain aneurysm. However, but I've just been blessed to just keep on going. I bugged my athletic director. I've been back to school about 4 or 5 times, just going everywhere. I was doing this job. They brought me in and just asked one thing. I promised them I want to discipline this team. Northeast is full of athletes. I have a whole lot. I just got almost 100 players right now. That's between JV and varsity. I know some of the coaches spoke of culture, adversity, and it's a big deal right now with Northeast. Me coming in as a head coach, but 20 years in the military, retired, I know I can do the job. I don't care if I go in and win 0 wins and 10 losses, but at the end of the year, these people know that these kids are disciplined first. I've lost a few of them here and there, they can't get it their way. But I think I have the best quarterback here in this city, along with one of the best running backs, which is just a junior. We're going to compete. I say give me at least 2 or 3 years, we will be state, and that's my goal. But I think we'll have a lot of young guys that's going to take on both sides of the ball. My junior varsity plays just as well as the varsity can also. So like I said, we're surrounded by athletes.
Coach, we were talking about this after your scrimmage Friday night. Jaden Puig, the senior quarterback at Northeast, through 3 years, 4,500 passing yards and 47 touchdowns. Having an opportunity to inherit a quarterback like that, how does that try and implement your offense and what you want to do just a little bit easier?
With Jaden, he's a good quarterback, but he could be a better quarterback. Things I want to teach him and things he needs to learn could make him an even better quarterback right now. Throwing the long ball, I'm trying to teach him to throw balls, here and there, nickel and dime is what I tell him. Just make him a better person. Yes, it looks good to throw the long ball, but get your stats and get yourself to college is a better look for you.
Coach, having coached semi-pro football, a lot of 20-year-olds, mid-20-year-olds, now coaching 15 and 16-year-olds, what has been the biggest adjustment for you in that transition?
Well, the biggest thing with that, semi-pro, the guys come when they come. High school, they need to come, and you get disciplined, get punished. You want to play, you need to show up and practice. You need to learn the schemes and everything else. Semi-pro, we just get lucky. We might win. You probably come 2 days out of the week and practice. High school, we need to be there every day. I need to get to know my kids. My kids got to know me. Personnel is always good when it comes to calling offense and defensive plays.
One thing I did notice your team Friday night, defensively, very fast, very physical. Has that been an emphasis for you guys?
Yes, I have a young group on defense right now. I have a sophomore, which is a very funny thing with him. I first got to that school, and this guy, we shouted out, "I'm D1, you're not D1." But come to find out the way this guy plays, he can be D1, and I'm going to lead him there. These kids teach me just as well as I teach them also.
Northeast opens at West Creek this coming Friday night. First-year head coach, Claude Townsend.
Thank you.
The green and gold of Northwest High School made great strides last year. The record may not reflect it in the total, but this is a team that is on the rise in the northwest side of Montgomery County. The Vikings will open up on the road against a playoff team in Stewart County before getting a rivalry game at home against West Creek on the 26th of August. Ladies and gentlemen, the head coach at Northwest High School, Ronaldo Peña.
Hey, good afternoon. Don't mind my look. I told my players that I will not cut or shave anything until we win a game, so I'm going to look like this for hopefully not long. All right? It's just really good to be here, and I just appreciate y'all, the opportunity. All these great coaches here right with me. You know, I just like they're saying, I mean, I love what I do. I just enjoy every moment of going out there and being able to live a dream that, you know, that you think about as kids, and then, you know, me being, just as well as Coach Townsend, me being a military guy, medically retiring after a while, and being able to instill, you know, the same amount of disciplines as well in our program in our own way, in comparison to, you know, years past. And one of the biggest things we focus on is, like these coaches said, is accountability. Got to be accountable for yourself, and we got to be accountable for each other, and it begins with me. So the first thing we wanted to do is get stronger. We focused on that right there in January. I gave myself a total of 3 great days, and we got back after it after the season was over. And we've been in the weight room. We've been working really hard, and, you know, I went from 57 players to 81, and, you know, we just are just fortunate to bring in an abundance of talent from different sports, just like my buddy Scott here was talking about. I talked to the baseball and basketball teams too. And we just been able to, you know, bring it all together and work hard. And our staff has just been working tirelessly to improve on what we can do and be able to compete in this area. And I'm just so blessed and so happy for our strides and our improvement and our progress over the summer. And then adding a great AD and Dr. McDonald to support our program has been remarkable, and we're just trying to hit the ground running and get this train rolling so we can compete in our district.
Coach, we were talking again. I saw you guys the other night. Saw some good things, a few turnovers that I know that was kind of an issue you wanted to kind of address this week.
Yeah.
Now you went back and watched tape. What were your perceptions of what you saw?
They're just trying to be superheroes. I mean, Raymond he's a brilliant young man, and he wanted to basically try to take on the world. And, you know, Coach Hood over there has a great program, and you just can't make mistakes like he made. And he's learned from it. We've practiced really well this week. We've looked really sharp, and, you know, we're going to rely on him trusting the people around him. And that's what I said in text after that. You got to trust yourself, but you got to trust your guys around you. You know, you're going to make great plays. You're going to do what you're supposed to do. And he's an excellent young man, and he knows the game. He just got a little hype and a little excited. But I'm glad it was in a game that, you know, at the end of the day, doesn't affect our record, because this week he's been dialed in and he's ready to go.
Coach, what's the best advice you've been given by another coach that, as you go into your second year, you think about almost daily?
Wow. I would have to go with, I saw a video once about the strength and conditioning coordinator for Georgia Tech, and he talked about the troubles of winning. You know, it isn't loyal to you. It doesn't care if you're in shape or not. You can be the better team and you can still lose. But the one thing I tell my guys is, when it comes to the journey of winning, are you willing to sprint when the distance is unknown? Because if not, the only thing that's guaranteed is losing. So when I heard that, I reached out to him and I talked to him for about 2 hours, and he just explained that, like, you have to be willing to chase this. You have to be willing to understand that this is a legacy and not a resume. And my young men know that we're going to be accountable for each other, and I try to portray that as being the leader of this program.
Coach, as you enter year 2, the continuity among your coaching staff, is it where you want it to be?
Absolutely. We added some key guys, but we spend a lot of time together. We talk a lot. I mean, I'm walking out of the school, 9, 10 o'clock. Hopefully, the alarm doesn't go off and I get in trouble for that. But I'm there, and my coordinator is Coach Murray. I've known him for over 10 years, and he's coached at the highest level. He's coached college. He's done great things, and these young guys that came in that we added in, we saw passion, we saw understanding and knowledge of the game. And for us we have to be in sync in order to set up for these talented young men that are going to be going on the field, because we can do some great things this season.
Northwest opens at Stewart County this Friday night. Second-year Northwest head coach, Ronaldo Pena.
I always urge everyone in attendance to get out and support these coaches and their teams on a Friday night. Please, and support our folks that cover this, like Jimmy Troglin has done for so many years, our partners at Main Street Preps and with ClarksvilleNow.com, Leaf Chronicle as well. So please, get out and support these young men. Make sure you take pride in who represents your city and who represents your school. Our next head coach is one of the best representatives. He's now the senior football coach in Montgomery County, which makes me mad because he still has all his hair and I don't. The Hawks went 2-8 a season ago, and Coach Todd Hood will have them improve this year before they take the field this Friday night. Tough test to start on the road at Wilson Central before 3 consecutive home games against Riverdale, Clarksville High School, and Clarksville Northeast. Ladies and gentlemen, the head coach at Rossview High School, Coach Todd Hood.
How do you know this is my real hair? We don't know that. Thanks to everyone who put this on, this luncheon, again this year. Sort of funny saying senior over here, so I guess I've coached a few years, but still love coaching the game, love kids, love being around people. I'd like to say thanks to my administration. Rossview is a great place to teach. It's a great place to coach. We've got great administration, great kids. We just love what's going on at our place. I don't have a voice. I haven't had a voice in 3 weeks. Obviously, it's because my kids are doing so well. They do everything on their own. I don't have to holler at them, right? You just say a couple things. They just fly around, snap around. So the job is that easy. But, so you got to scream sometimes and holler and get people's attention. And you're outside, it's got to be loud anyway. But thanks to my administration. And when I first got hired at Rossview, John Miller was the athletic director. So he left me. He don't want to work with me. Then we got, Rick Martin. I think most of you know Rick. Well, Rick left me. He don't want to be a part of me. He don't want to be with me. Well, now Russ is a great administrator, a great athletic director. He has to put up with me every day. So thank you. I'm going to try to keep him for at least a day or two. So I think we're on day 6. So far, so good. So 5 years. Okay. I'll be 107 by then. But thank you guys. And just thank you for being here and letting us have this lunch. It's fun to get to talk about our team. And speaking of that, last year was football-wise, last year was not a good year. Coaching kids is always fun. It has its ups and downs. That never changes, even with great teams and mediocre teams and teams that don't succeed to your expectations. Coaching doesn't change, still working, still coaching, still trying to grow kids in the right kind of way every year. So this year, our motto is burn the ship. Because I don't know if there's hardly anything that we've done last year that I want to save or remember. So we're going to hop on that ship. We're going to take it over to our designation. And we're going to get off of it. We're going to look and we're going to burn it down because we don't want to go back to that. And if you've been coaching long enough, you've had teams. Teams are different. Teams are different. Kids are different. Expectations are different. So it's just a different year for us this year. And that's one thing we talked about is burning the ship and moving forward. It started in the weight room. Last year we weren't very big. We weren't very smart. Football knowledge. The weight room, we just had to get stronger. And it has been so much fun watching these kids lift and grow and become a team. So we set our expectations. We talked the other day about expectations. You know, I told the kids, it's like you know, when we have babies, we have kids. I've got a couple kids. When they're babies, you don't expect much out of them, right? You know, you change their diaper, you feed them, you put them to sleep, you know, and they grow up a little bit, and they go to school, and, you know, they got to carry their own backpack. They got to walk to their class. Well, now you're a freshman. You're not in middle school anymore. Your expectations are different. You're a sophomore. You're a junior. You're a senior on this team. Your expectations are different in what you do. So we're preaching to our kids about what do we expect out of you, each and every player. Is it a position? Is it a leader? So what you do. So your expectations change. So we have different expectations of our players this year, and they've done a good job in filling some of those roles. So speaking of that, I want to mention some seniors that have really done a great job. Brandon Rushing, C.J. Martinez, Dustin Chavis, Jefferson Brown, Andrew Byard, Jamarcus Caldwell, Dylan Arias, Deron Moffitt, just to name a few. Those guys have been phenomenal leaders. Now, does that mean we win games? I don't know. Great leader? I don't know, you know. Does that mean we win games? I don't know. We played last week in the Jamboree, and some of our expectations weren't met. So, you know, those things we go back, we correct, we watch film. So I don't guarantee anything. I tell the kids the same thing. Coach made a good point. You can work, and the only thing is guaranteeing losing. I mean, you know, if you don't go out there and perform, you're not going to win the game. And the cliche is it's like life. You know, it is, football is. It's being on time, it's discipline, it's loving one another. It's yes, sir, no, sir, and yes, ma'am. We're trying to teach those basic foundations. You know, and kids, people talk about kids change, and do they really? Do kids change, or do maybe adults change? Maybe we don't expect the same out of our kids. When you got brought up, didn't your parents expect things? Well, we expect our kids still to be on time, still say the right thing, still be a good student, be a good teammate, say the right thing, and we still expect those things. So I'm really looking forward to Friday night. We play a great Wilson Central team. We've always had a good rivalry. They're a good football team. They're solid, great in special teams. They're smart kids, football smart. You can't trick them too much, you know. You try to come up with things, but they're really smart players, sound coaching. So it's going to be a really good football game as we travel Friday, and we're looking forward to that game. And I think they told me I only had 28 minutes. So I think I've got 20 more. So let me turn to my other page. No, just kidding. But yeah, thank you for letting us have this lunch and really enjoy it. Looking forward to a great year. And all these coaches, good luck to everyone here.
Coach, we've known each other since your days on Sean Berner's teams and those state championship teams at Fort Campbell. Then you became, I think, Clarksville Academy's second coach when they brought back football. Now you're here at Rossview. What is the difference between Todd, first-year head coach at Clarksville Academy, and coach now?
I still have my hair. That's one thing. That's the same. What has changed? I think one thing is Coach mentioned earlier, is just growing, knowing your kids. I think it's knowing your kids. As you get older, hopefully you're smarter and wiser. And just because we have gray hair sometimes doesn't mean we're actually smarter or wiser. It just means we have gray hair. So I think as we get older, we do become wiser, smarter with kids and dealing with kids, trying to grow kids. And you're always learning and adapting your schemes or your personnel or bringing people in that fit to do the right thing with our kids. And so hopefully I've grown up a little bit and being a little bit smarter in how to handle kids and how to deal with them.
6A football is pretty phenomenal. And
pretty brutal.
You've faced those Murfreesboro teams.
Quite a few
and
times.
Have won again this year. The one thing when you look at 6A football is the size of the lines. Rossview's never quite had the size of an Oakland or a Riverdale or those teams like that. How do you kind of compensate when you are going against someone that's bigger, more physical?
Well, we put in a new offense this year. I don't know if you guys know anything about like zone reads and option stuff. So when you run like option stuff, like you read people, right? Like you don't block them. Yeah, you don't block people, you read them. And if they do something this or that, you do something off what they do. So we put a new offense in. We're not going to block anybody. So we're going to read all 10 or 11 guys over there and see how that works. So far, not so well, but we're going to see. So if we can't block them, we're just going to read them all. But seriously, you know, our line last year was not very good. They were not a good line. Love the kids, but the truth is the truth. We speak the truth at Rossview. But here's the thing. So the line is back. So that could be a good thing or that could be a bad thing. But it's actually turned out to be a great thing because those guys have learned, they've gelled, They have great unity. They're stronger. So hopefully our line's going to do a lot better job matching up this year with the other teams.
When you come off a tough season like last season, and you were kind of talking about burning the ship, is that something you guys talk during the off season? Let's not even think about it. Let's kind of concentrate on, in getting a good start and kind of building your confidence early.
It is, and I get most of my mottos at church. Faith Outreach, we have a great pastor, William Luffman, and he has great sermons. So most of the time when I'm not sleeping at church, I try to listen and take notes. But he talked about burning the ship. There's a song out there also. Now, when I heard his sermon, I thought it was such a great point for us. We had some kids that move on. We had a few really good football players. But I thought our kids just need to know, we have to burn that ship. We can't go backwards. We can't look that way. We have a new team. It's a new year. We've got to move on and move forward. Look ahead of us. We're not going backwards. Correct some things. Get bigger, faster, and stronger. And then play the best that we can. And then ultimately, we put our kids in situations, and they got to make a play. They could be a great athlete. They could be an average athlete. But when you're in a situation to make a pass, catch, or to make the interception, or take whatever it may be in situations, you got to be able to execute that play, and that's what we practice on, and we plan on doing that this year.
Rossview opens at Wilson Central this coming Friday. Rossview head football coach Todd Hood.
Thank you, everyone.
Our final head coach may be a new head coach, but he's very familiar to a lot of the coaching staffs on this at the table today. Been at a couple different stops with different coaching staff. Now the head man at West Creek High School, 2-8 last year, and it'll be up to head coach Rob Gallowitz to get the Coyotes back to the playoffs for the first time since 2010. Ladies and gentlemen, the head Coyote, Rob Gallowitz.
Hey, man, I thought you were saving best for last, all right? Next year, I want to be in front of Todd, all right, not behind him. So I'm Rob Gallowitz. I'm a Clarksville native. The big thing we're trying to do at West Creek is give kids an opportunity after school, whether that's college or that's a career. And so first, I want to just thank everybody for allowing us to be able to come here and kind of share a little bit about our program and our kids. That's really, really big to us, to just have community involvement. So I will kind of just start out with this. We do a thing that I stole from another program called Real Life Tuesdays, where we invite people from the community to come speak to our kids that may not be interested in college, may not be interested in joining the military, but there's other outlets that they can do. So if any of you guys, do any type of career or business, I'd love to speak to you after this just so we could touch base. We usually do that in January through May. So it's kind of a unique opportunity for us. And if you guys are hanging out with us at 1 o'clock on a Wednesday, you guys probably have some pretty cool jobs that allow you to do that. So I'd love to talk to you guys, and maybe we can get that set up. So I'm taking over a program that hasn't had a lot of success. Generally, when you take over a program like that, you're trying to find small wins every single day. We have a lot of good kids at West Creek. We have a lot of good athletes at West Creek. And I think one of the biggest things that we tried to work on this year is just being able to battle adversity. I think a lot of our youth today struggle with that, because of social media and everything else. I think they struggle with just being able to kind of compete and battle back. And so, in the past, we've had a lot of times where, a team may jump out on us pretty quick, and then our kids are not able to battle back because they're in their head and they're already kind of shutting themselves down. So we spent a lot of our off season this year pretty much finding opportunities, whether it was 7-on-7 or just finding good scrimmages against really well-coached teams where we can find success. And, sometimes we weren't on in the win column, but it was an opportunity to grow before we face a pretty difficult region. So that's kind of where we're at with West Creek. I appreciate Mr. Miller and Mr. Dibby for giving me the opportunity to kind of take the reins over here. And I'm really excited to see kind of what we put on the field on Friday night.
Coach, you've learned from a pretty good head football coach yourself. What are some of the things that you've learned that you think should help you in this first season?
I don't know if there's anything that you could really take away from somebody else until you're actually in the seat. This is just a really fast-paced kind of position. It's not so much about the X's and O's as it is about like managing people. So like it's, answering the 15 parent emails you get. It's, contacting boosters and trying to ask them for things and stepping out to the community to see what they could do to help us out as well. So I don't know if you're ever really prepared for that position. But the guys that I have worked under, have really kind of put me in positions to teach me things like bookkeeping, to teach me things, with managing the booster club, or, even just moving me around within the program to learn different positions. So I think a lot of that has made me a better coach, and hopefully, we can translate that into a successful program.
West Creek's had a lot of athletes over the years. C.J. Board, one of the all-time greats out of this county, played there. Offensive line has always been kind of small. Where are you guys at as far as that particular field?
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to be real big, but I think the good thing is like we're starting to get kids to buy in where you're taking, like you said, we're taking kids that are linebackers or, maybe a defensive end, and we're putting them into, a left guard or a right tackle or whatever it may be. And it's not ideal. But at the end of the day, like you got to find kids that are willing to buy into what you're wanting to do. And so that's the important thing. If you can tell this kid, because like nobody's excited about being an offensive lineman, you know what I mean? Like no, they don't get in the paper. They're not scoring the touchdowns. Like they're just the big kid at the table, you know what I mean? And so a lot of times I think, we're trying to convince these guys that, hey, this is a position that's going to help us win, and convincing those kids. And I think a lot of our kids have bought in, especially with some of the schemes that we've done. I think, they're buying in and they're saying, okay, this is a position that's going to move us in the right direction. So
2 days away from making your debut as a head football coach, do you think you're where you want to be, or do you think, well, there's still a million things I could be working on?
Yeah, I mean, there's always room for improvement for sure. I mean, I don't think the job's ever done, but I do think we're in a position, and that's what we keep preaching to the team, like going 2-8 and then expecting to win the state championship is not realistic. You know what I mean? And so I think, our goal is we want to be competitive in the fourth quarter. We saw the running clock quite a bit last year, and that's our big thing. It's like, are we competitive? Do we give ourselves a chance to win? And I think we did that in the summer where, we were losing some, and now 7-on-7 is totally different from like normal football, but like being in that environment of we are behind, we're losing, like, can we overcome that? And so hopefully we can see if that translates, obviously, to the football field. If you were at the Jamboree on Friday, like we went down, we couldn't move the ball, and then like you check the vibe of the team and everybody's like still locked in. The kids are still taking the coaching. They're not doing their own thing. They're not freaking out. They're understanding like we are okay. And then they're able to perform, and then we ended up winning 21-7. So I think that was a good experience. So I hope that answered your question.
First-year head coach Robert Gallowitz, Northeast at West Creek. And Johnny, correct me if I'm wrong, but next year will we have 9 head coaches up here? We will. Yep. The new high school will be here next year, and we'll have 9 coaches up here. So look forward to that.
I just want to echo and say thank you again to all of our coaches for making time to come and join us. Thank you to our Rotarians and our Kiwanis friends for allowing us to invade your meeting. Jay, I'll turn it over to you here in just a moment. Again, get out on a Friday night and support these programs, support these organizations. Get out and pay the ticket, buy you a bag of popcorn, settle in and watch good high school football. We're spoiled in Clarksville, Montgomery County about the quality of athletes we have. We need to get out and support them. So with that, thank you all for allowing me to be a part of this as well. I'll see you on the radio in 2 weeks as Austin Peay heads to Bowling Green to take on Western to start the season. So I always end with Let's Go Peay.